Welcome back, everybody, to the Twin Chickens podcast. We have a different kind of setup today, and I'm really excited for what's going to happen. So, we have Abino.
Hey.
And we have the piano.
We do.
It's our lovely guest, man.
We're set up nicely in Arturo's place.
Yeah, dude. This is your second time coming here.
Yeah.
And I want to say...
Yeah, you've definitely moved in a lot more than the last time I was here.
Yeah, I have so much crap just in here. So we haven't done a podcast in my new studio or my new apartment in Ganos, first time ever. So I'm very happy that you are here, my friend. We have a lot of catching up to do this week.
We do.
And so many things to talk about. First of all, what did you guys think about Gilbert from last week's podcast? Because that was...
Yeah, give us your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah.
We had a good conversation. We covered quite a bit. I don't remember all the things we touched on. There
was quite a bit, man, and I love having Gilbert in the studio. After we went to your grad party, I went to one of my sister's birthday parties, and I was kind of burned out because she was there with all her friends. She didn't really have time to talk to me or anything like that. And this my youngest sister, it was her birthday. She turned, I believe, 13 this year, and dude, I love her to death. I love her more than anything in this world. So, I really wish I could have spent quality time with her, but I couldn't because, she's around. She's not even conscious of the world yet. So, I took her to the mall. When was it? This Thursday. No, this Wednesday. And I told her she can get whatever you want. If you ask for a pony, you can get a pony. If you ask for, a handgun, you can get a handgun. Whatever you wanted, it's on me, right? So
what a great deal.
Yeah. So, I got her a pair of shoes. Because that's what she wanted. It was just pretty cool. I'm glad she didn't ask for a gun or anything like that. It was good. We shared some quality time with her and my younger brother as well, and it was just a good time, man. Really good shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, dude. Every time I talk to her, I love her more every time I do. And it's just a shame that kids grow to be in this age where now there's a rebellion side to them, and now there's I don't need this, or I'm not just conscious of things yet, and one day she will be. And it's I hope that she remembers me fondly as an old man or whatever.
Exactly.
In any case, we're going to start the show off with a little clip, man, and then we're going to actually get into some stuff. So I hope this works out fantastic. Oh, the last thing I forgot to mention is I actually added a tip link underneath our videos.
Oh, awesome.
So underneath in the description of our videos, obviously you'll find our Instagrams, all of our outreach, and
socials, and other links that we'd probably reference in any video we'd leave in the description. But that's awesome.
Yeah. So the tip link is used so that you guys can send your questions in. Not only does it give us fun things to talk about, but it also supports the show in any capacity that you can. Is much appreciated. Obviously, we're just thankful that you guys are watching and just being engaging with us. So in any case, if you guys want to send us an anonymous question or just anything you guys want to talk about the show, such as love questions, philosophical topics, we're trying to keep political or religious in here, but we just try to have fun because we're just two dudes that don't even wear pants.
Most of the days, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, here's our first clip.
Is that a pink skirt?
I think so. I used to wear something similar to that. So we went to your show last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, again. So this is Graham was having a little basement party. Shout out to Graham and what is it? The elite...
Elite bullshit.
Yeah, the elite bullshit or whatever.
Elite BS.
Yeah. Obviously, Evan is in a new band right now, and he's invited me to the show. And it was a little packed the basement kind of thing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that night was pretty crazy because, so I get there with Gilbert, right? So Gilbert gets there first, and then I arrive after, and I'm starving. I forget I think I was working. Oh, no, I was coming back from my sister's birthday party.
Yeah, it was that night.
I was still hungry, man. So I get there, and Gilbert's like, dude, this is wild, right? There's a couple girls there, a couple dudes, and you guys are playing or just on stage or whatever, having fun. And I tell Gilbert, hey man, I feel like something's happening, and we need let's go get some food. Let's take a break, right? So me and him go to McDonald's, and he's like, dude, I think everyone's on acid. Immediately. And I'm like, what gives you that idea? He's like, I don't know, man. I feel like, because like you came out and you talked to me, and I'm like, I think you're pretty good, but everyone else is like on something, which is like, oh, all right. Kids will be kids.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that he was keen enough to pick up on that.
Yeah, Gilbert's smarter than we think, man, and we don't give him enough credit.
I'm only teasing, but yeah. He's a
dude. He's a bright one, and dude, yeah, we were like, dude, something's happening here.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and so we came back, and we rocked out for a bit. Now, I have a big ego, as you know. Like I'm pretty big, like as in like I try to suppress my ego and try to have a good time. So obviously, the graham cracker, he dude, you guys were just putting on a show, and I could definitely, I don't know if you want this to be out there or not, but I had a lot of fun that night.
Hell yeah!
Just talking with Graham, and just even being able to play on this little amp. But it wasn't anything to be serious, you know. It was just like a fun time. That's the way I took it, and I had a really good time that night.
I'm really happy to hear you say that. And
I usually don't have a good time, no matter where I go. But dude, it was fun. We got to play. I got to meet Quaid. Shout out to Quaid.
Yeah.
McQuack is what I call him. I don't even know.
Yeah, actually, so me, Graham, and Quaid all started Taekwondo around. Quaid started sooner than I did, but
that's right. Graham was in Taekwondo. That makes sense.
We three did that all together. 10. Oh shit! We got reunion coming up this October.
The Taekwondo ties.
It would have been 10 years, like this October, November. That's a ways back. Wow. We were children.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. While we were taking a break on our show.
Yeah.
We all stepped outside, and I think you just came back from Burgers, and we're talking with Quaid, and I was just a little exhausted, so
everyone
I wasn't saying anything.
Yeah.
But Quaid was, or somehow you guys fucking started complimenting me or something, and then was saying, like, Quaid mentioned it was super cool to, like, get to know me.
Yeah.
How I was, like, super reserved and, like, very shy.
Yep. And that seemed like to help him as well, like kind of get out of his shell and just kind of like get to know himself through Taekwondo, which is an amazing thing, by the way. People that don't aren't affiliated with sports, I feel like it's funny to say sports keeps kids off drugs or whatever. You know, I don't think that rings so much true today, but it's more the fact that it keeps them occupied.
Yeah, and giving something, kids need something to do.
Yeah,
because like younger kids, you have an imagination. You just go hang out with a friend and you play pretend or whatever you need to do outside. But once you start hitting your teens, unless you find a passion, I feel most kids just waste their teens. And I know I did for a number of years.
Yep. Well, for me, all I did was skateboard, and I wish I knew what I knew now then, you know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah.
Dude. But Quaid's an interesting guy, man. He talked to me for about 45 minutes about why he smokes why he vapes or whatever, and I'm like, dude, this is. And another time, this would have been a great conversation.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I know exactly how that conversation went.
Yeah, very nice guy. I got to finally meet, formally, or like actually get to meet the Graham Crackers. I've met him before, but we never actually talked because I always thought he was like a little, how do I say this, a little too much for me sometimes, because like I see not the power balance, but this like, I gotta be big, I want to be big, and I have to be big, you know.
And an attention. Well, he's, in his own words, he said he's an attention whore.
Yeah.
Which it really plays to his, like, who he's been, especially knowing him through Taekwondo. He's always loved the attention and like being a crowd pleaser.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so it was interesting to see a good positive development in him, while I guess still keeping that trait.
Yeah.
Into something more genuine and good for the world. Like, you know, not doing something just for the attention, but making music and being the front lead man that people need. for or like whatever in a band setting, and I think that's a great outlet for the person he is.
Yeah, I feel like that's what he was meant to do for sure, absolutely. And to me, it was just really interesting that like I never really liked the guy until like we actually talked that day, and we got to talk about a little bit of music, and he wants me to, I try not to. I have a lot of knowledge because I've done a lot of things, and I try not to burden people with this stuff. So when he's like telling me, we're on stage, and I'm like, he's like, hey, come on stage, and then he gives me a little Line 6 amp that I can't even hear myself or whatever. I'm like, oh man, whatever, I could shred as much as as much as anyone, but like, we got one good song out of that, which is great. We had a fun time. It was more the fact that like I knew what we could have done differently, but it's not my business, not my show. So I really did. I feel like I personally grew so much from where he was, because I used to be just like him, and then I got put in my place very fast. I got called up by my cousins, like, you're not shit, just like really horrible things that like at the time like I took it personally, but later as I grew on, I'm like, oh my god, my ego needed to be in check because I was out of control. You know what I mean? I was like trying to be so much and so big, but I didn't comprehend that how I affected other people.
Okay, that's really interesting to think about.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you had a good time regardless, and were able to whip out some great fucking solos.
In that song I was able to make I kept hearing the song that we just like did a little jam session on, and I'm like, oh my god, if I were to start a band, I know how I would do it for sure, and now after that, Graham's talking about me wanting to, or asking if I can be his guitar Lutheran, I guess, the guitar tech or whatever.
Yep.
Basically fixing up his guitars, and I'm like, dude, that's a very expensive job. And he's like, I'll pay you. I'm like, we can talk after, right? And then we did, but like, it's a very expensive job, and not to be taken lightly, but I'm totally down for whatever, because like if that's what he needs, I'm totally down. But like, my time is worth something.
Yes.
So I never try to do anything for free. At least that's the way I am. And it's as narcissistic and as horrible as that sounds, your time is precious. So
absolutely, all we have is time and our health. So as long as we can value that, that's really important. And I'm glad you see that in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So we got to talking about like pedal boards and all that stuff, and we're just kind of covering this night real quick because this night kind of does a little springboard or whatever for the rest of the week. So I sent him a picture of my LS2. Basically, it's a Voss pedal that is a line selector. Doesn't matter, guitar tech, whatever. And I haven't showed him my pedal board. I haven't showed you my pedal board yet, but it's finally complete.
Awesome. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna have some fun right after this. And we got to meet some interesting people that night. And like I said, I try not to because I know what I can do, and I try not to overshadow people, so I could play any instrument. And that's what like I could do everything there. And then I really try to like take a step back because it was just about having fun, and I'm glad that we just had fun, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, and that's all like the party we were trying to do. It's just make sure everybody had a good time.
But then I did see like Graham was like, hey, we lost him. Get back in there.
Yeah, especially when we were doing jams, it's not like songs people know.
Yeah.
And so the jam session can be like slower, funkier, whatever. Then people realize like, oh, we're not jumping as much. We could use some air. Then one person follows the next.
And that's the thing about basement shows, man. We are in a basement with one fan. No air conditioning.
It's just stale air, and it gets warm quick. Even if you had multiple fans, that basement would still be warm.
Exactly. So I was like, it's whatever. I'm totally fine with that. But I was just excited to actually play drums, and I for the longest time I haven't been able to play drums.
Yeah, it was super fun. I can't remember what all I really played, but we jammed while you were on drums. It was fun.
It was good, man. It was good shit. So from there that night we got to re-meet Kevin. Dude, this guy he's an enigma. You know what an enigma is?
Yeah.
So for me, every time the first time I came down, I'm like, hey man, how you been? He's like, I've been good. Like, what have you been up to? He's like, we have a lot to talk about. He just kind of left it at that. And I'm like, all right, I have time now. I have time not to talk, but whatever. And then later, me and Gilbert went to Burgers. We came back, and Kevin's attending his guests or his people that he brought with, and I'm like, dude, I don't think I could ever, like, even if I went to go talk to him and say, like, so what have you been up to? I don't think he really could say he's really gonna tell me things. So we get back downstairs and I tell him, so what have you been up to, man? Like, the exact same thing I was rehearsing in my head just to like talk to him. And he's like, dude, we have so much to talk about, dude. Whatever, blah 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 blah. Smash Bros, because that's what always comes up, Smash Bros. And I'm like, what? Smash Bros? And he's like, do you have it here? And apparently, did you know this? One of the guys, Paul, that there was Paul Vang, I really,
Peter?
No, his name was Paul. I don't know if Vang is his last name, but anyway, it was the guy that was just like, dude, you guys are awesome, dude. You guys are so talented. He was just saying that all night.
Yeah, he had. Yeah. Like a flannel on that night.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah.
He's number 5 in the nation of Smash Bros. Did you know that?
Nice.
I didn't know that. So the conversation of Smash Bros came up, and then Kevin's like, I have Smash Bros in my car right now. And I'm like, dude, I'm always down for Smash Bros. I am always down for Smash, dude. I love Smash Bros, for sure. And that night I got to know that Paul is one of the top 5 in the frickin' nation. So
that's insane.
Isn't that something to talk about? Isn't that something you would want to, like, hey, I do a Smash, and then later I find out that Kevin, so me and Gilbert leave, and me and Paul and Gilbert are just outside, just, talking, whatever. We're waiting for Paul because he gets in a car with Kevin, then he gets out, and we're like, did Kevin just leave him there? What the heck? Paul's just on the street corner, just like walking up and down the street, and I'm like, what's going on? Does he need a ride? And me and Gilbert are just waiting for him, and then we just like, hey man, you can come talk to us while you're waiting for whoever. So Paul comes and we get to exchange Snapchats, and we find out he's number 5 in the state or whatever, and that Kevin actually hosts a Smash Bros tournament.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes. He had recently just started a Smash Bros tournament on Thursdays.
Yeah. So throughout this pandemic, I'm not sure when he actually got it started, but throughout the pandemic, he was... I believe they took a little bit of break because of obviously COVID rules, but they were able to somehow gather all these people in this place that, like, I always go across it, but I didn't know it existed. It's its own place. I had no idea what it, like, that it's so close, but I had no idea it even existed. But people from Wisconsin drive there just to play Smash Bros. People from just all over the state just come here. The place was packed with like 100 people.
Nice.
It was insane. Obviously, I brought my little Nano Switch controller, and I was just like, I want to play.
Yeah.
Not knowing that you have to register on Monday to play there on Thursday. This is probably all boring stuff to you guys, but this is just recapping the week. But I played with some guys that were really cool. I totally forgot their names, but I was like, oh man, if this is the level that, like, okay, I've seen... Dude, that night, Paul was up against the number 1 in the whole nation state or whatever the hell. He was up against him, and he almost got him. And the roof almost exploded.
Wait, so...
It reminded me of Detour.
You found out about it, and then you and Paul went there at the Smash Bros. Tournament?
Me, Paul, and Gilbert. So Paul invited me and Gilbert.
All right, hell yeah.
This was on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, it was on Thursday. And so this whole week we were thinking it's like, oh, we knew it was going to be big because of what Paul was saying, but we didn't know it was going to be that big. And that feel of nerds, because I'm a nerd, coming together and just like I said, it felt like Detour again. A little smidge of it, just a little bit. It was cool. It was really
nice.
Cool. I didn't invite you because I didn't know what your schedule was, because I know you're a very busy person, but there was a lot of things just that week that happened, but I'm probably not going to go again because it's just another thing on top of everything,
Yeah.
And I'm trying to really work on cutting distractions because of my week. My week flow has been really, really bad. And today is the only day I actually have been home, actually. Apart from this whole week, I just come here and I sleep, and then I leave for like the next 12 hours.
Right, just having a nice loop of getting your days through. It's just eat, sleep, work. Whoa, what day is it?
Exactly. So going back to that Smash Bros tournament, I played with two people that lost in the first bracket. So I played with some friendlies, then I played with some dudes that were actually in the tournament. Dude, I know I'm not good at Smash Bros, but they really made me. Yeah.
There's people who can like just kick you off a stage in probably under 5 seconds, just annihilate you.
Yep, and that's what they did. They definitely destroyed me in less than a minute, and I felt like a child again. Like, oh wow, I can't do anything. Oh my god, it was just horrible. Anyway, we got to meet with Bree again. She was at the party with I believe Becca, I think it was her name, and we met a couple other friends, and I met this one dude. Okay, so tell me if this has happened to you, where you're trying to get to know someone, but they're being very disingenuous, and you just can't get a straight answer from them.
I could relate, yeah.
So I'll give you this example, right? So, Bree is like telling us, "Hey, we're over here. Come talk to us and our friends," and they're in a little circle. And Gilbert's been talking to them for a while now, and I set my stuff down to go get a drink, and then I come back. And Gilbert's like, "Hey man, do you know this guy? He's a dancer and all that stuff. Like, he has his own Instagram. He does a lot of ballets and all that stuff." And I think Gilbert's just poking fun at him, but the guy's like, "Yep, I dance. That's what I do." And he's a pretty handsome guy. Not to like just kind of setting the stage is like this dude's hanging around these really pretty girls, and it's just like can't really get a vibe on this guy. If that makes sense, but he's just having like very chill. And he's like, "Yep, I dance." And I'm like, "Dude, what do you dance? Are you part of the tournament? Are you not?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm definitely part of it." And he just could not give me a straight answer. And I'm like, "Do you dance like professionally?" And he's like, "Yep, I dance professionally." And it's like, "Well, do you?" I'm just trying to egg him on.
He couldn't elaborate any further other than responding to the questions?
Yeah, and it's like, dude, like, okay, so then like, well, can you do a little thing right now? And he's like, "Yeah." And so he does a little ballet kind of dance, and I'm like, "Oh," and after that, I was just kind of annoyed, so I'm like, "Hey, that's a nice little talent, like kind of little thing." And then everyone broke out laughing, and then I was just like, "Oh shoot, I didn't mean to insult him," but it's like, I've had my wits with you. I'm trying to like get engaged with this whole group of circles and trying to like go around and say, "Hey, how do you guys know each other?" and all that stuff. And this guy was just dead weight. So all the
was
girls,
he with other people, or like with Bree in the crowd?
Yeah. So then the girls went to go smoke or whatever, and then he was just like there for like 2 seconds, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get a drink," and then he left, and it was obvious that like I know when like we were talking about last week, like the antisocial, that like you just don't want to be there, or you just he did a really respectful way of just like, "I don't want to be here, so I'll just leave." And it's like me and Gilbert were just like, "Dude, that was just the weirdest thing." It was just very disingenuous.
Yeah.
But then it just goes to show, like, some people aren't just meant to, like, they're not meant to.
Some people aren't even there at the right moment in time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel it was really interesting. I think it was earlier in the week, maybe on Monday. I felt something strange. I woke up that morning, I think on Monday, and I was like, something's interesting about today.
Yeah.
And over the course of that day, did I tell you about I think I might have I went over to Graham's house. Graham was working, so it was just me and Aaron.
Right.
We hung out and talked for a bit. We just ended up chatting about music for like 2 hours.
But you can just walk into Graham's house when he's not there?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, no, I'm basically family.
Okay, cool.
I've been there for quite a bit. But regardless, we just chat for a while, and then somehow we land on deciding to go get hummus from Target.
Okay.
Did I tell you about this story?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We're literally catching up then, and I'm really excited.
All right. Fuck yeah. We're not 20 feet out the door. We're just having a good conversation about like, this could go well. We'll get some pita chips, this, that, whatever. And as we're walking out of the house towards the sidewalk,
right,
there's a dude eyeing us up, like on a bike. Dude's rolling straight out of the 90s. He's on a broken bike, shorts, like tip frosted hair.
Sounds gross.
Baggy. He looked like a skater kind of kid. Not pleasant hygiene, whatever. So we just kind of like, or at least I ignore him, but I just see that he's been staring at us for like the solid 10 seconds as he's riding his bike.
Right.
We get a little bit further and he comes behind us and he says, oh, what do you trying to get our attention.
Yeah.
And then he asks, like, do any of you have a phone I could borrow? I'm like, oh yeah, I know how this is gonna go.
And he's on a hog, right, or whatever.
Or just on a bicycle.
It's really sketchy, man.
Yeah, and it was like 20 feet in front of his house too.
In front of Graham's house.
Yeah, directly.
Super sketch.
And so we stop, and Aaron's kind enough to talk to him. I would have just ignored him, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting interaction, so I'm pleased that it was.
So what else happened? What else happened?
So he's saying like, okay, my phone, I'm locked out. My SIM card is like locked.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do you want us to do? Like, he's like, I need to call somebody. Or like, I thought he was gonna call his like carrier, you know, like AT&T or whatever it is. But apparently he needs Wi-Fi or some shit to be able to make the phone calls, because you can't do it without the service.
Right.
So he's like, oh, you need to use somebody's phone. He uses Aaron's phone to call his mother or his sister maybe. But whoever it was, he was like asking them to like call the carrier for him and then just somehow like get the pin. And save it, like if she could do it soon enough. But regardless,
right,
the phone wasn't working, and we find out. So I'm like, okay, we're clearly gonna be here for like another minute. I'm just gonna sit down on the curb. So I walk around like the corner, like 10 feet, and just sit down.
Right.
They join me, and we go on to ask him like what he's doing here. And he's like, yeah, you hear those sirens? I just came from over there. We were in a bad car accident, and I was just running from the cops. So that's where I'm at right now.
What? Dude.
And then he goes to say, like, as we're just slowly getting more information, he's like, yeah, so I stole this bike, pretty rad, right? I'm like, okay, all right.
Okay, so Daddy's here.
And now
Daddy's gonna.
Then he goes to say, like, yeah, so he wanted to like go with us. Aaron said we were like about to go to band rehearsal, but that was a lie. We were going to get hummus. We were gonna come back to rehearsal.
This hummus story is amazing, by the way. I love it. I love it very much.
Fucking. We sit down or like whatever conversation, and he's talking about like, oh yeah, I can come with you guys. I derail it and say like, oh, we could go to the park or something, walk down. Yeah. I'm not trying to take my car. And I was getting slight vibes of him trying to steal my car. He was bringing my car up a couple times. Is that yours? Is it hot?
Oh, God.
And I couldn't understand what the is it hot meant. And I was like, oh, wait. Oh, yeah, no, I could just turn on the air conditioning. And then it hit me like, no, he just stole that bike. He means, is it fucking boosted? And then so he was like, yeah, so in the car, or maybe I asked him, I can't remember, but he said that him and his buddies were towing a car that they stole,
right? And
somehow like they crashed into the back of one another, and that caused another accident in front. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tap the mic.
Yeah.
To those listening, but they got into a car accident, I think, in like a major intersection. And that's why there was like fire trucks and other like sirens going off.
That happened today, that day?
That day, yeah, like a few days ago. And
Dude, what?
And so thankfully I feel like it was good. We walked down to the park, just like down the street. We got a call back on Aaron's phone from his mother or something.
Yeah.
And I think they were able to like figure out like, okay, well, she can't do it right now, but maybe later. So it's like, all right, well, I think Aaron said like, oh, well, we could drop you off at a McDonald's. Being the kind soul he is, I wanted to just leave him there because I wanted to go get my fucking hummus.
Yeah, no, I feel it, man.
I was like, you're invading on my time and my fucking stomach.
I have a similar story to this, but keep going.
He goes on to talk about his homelessness, and it piques my interest because like he's quite the bum for like having an iPhone and being homeless and having family that clearly has a stable job. Like, no, I'm working right now. Like, I can't do this. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Like, he's living a completely different lifestyle than I've ever really seen anybody else. I haven't talked to many homeless people, but it's
funny enough, I talk to a lot, and not because I want to.
I'll wrap this story up, and I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
We walk back to the car, about to do it, and he's like, "Hey, so can I put my bike on the top of the car?" I'm like, "No, that's not happening.
That's your car.
I don't want it scratched on top."
Yeah.
He asked, "Oh, well, can I put it in the trunk?" Like, it's probably not going to fit in there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he said, like, "Oh, well, I could ride behind you guys." But I'm like, just thinking, like, A, you're a stranger. B, you've talked about very rebellious things that I don't want to be a part of. C, I don't want to scratch my car. It's not going to fit in my car. I don't want you in my car. You stole that bike. You're running from the cops. There's a couple things that are just like on my list of like, I don't really want to affiliate with you right now.
You're a smart man for doing that or thinking about these things, for sure.
Thankfully, somehow Aaron brought up music, and the dude just on his phone brought up like 5 of his songs that we listened to all the way through.
That he made?
Yeah, that he was a part of and rapped on. They were okay.
Okay.
It passed the time.
Sure.
I'm actually thankful for that, because by that time we were about to leave, and he gets another call from his mom on like Aaron's phone.
Right.
Gave him the code, and we went our separate ways. That was a lot.
That sounds very annoying. Bless Aaron's heart. Dude, he's a very chill and nice guy.
He's a very kind soul.
Bless his heart. But fuck that guy.
Drake. That was his name.
Sounds like a Drake. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So, Artie's story is, correct me if I told this before, but I was in BK. I was in break. And usually when I go to break, the houses I was working at downtown, I wasn't able to use the bathroom there, so I had to go inside the restaurant and order food there because I needed to use the bathroom, right? So it ended up happening that I go in, and there's this homeless guy asking everybody in line for money. As they do. As we know, that's what they do.
I've had an experience like that near the Rose Maple. Is it Maplewood? No.
Probably Roseville Center or something like that.
Yeah. There's just some dude hanging around B-dubs, just asking like, "Hey, my wife's in the car. We ran out of gas."
Yeah, that's the comments. Yeah.
Silliness.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And for me, I have this problem where I feel like I'm the most popular person in the world, and I it sounds so narcissistic, but everyone talks to me. Everyone needs to talk to me. So I get this home, like there was like weeks before, just I was walking out of a Best Buy, and this one big dude, just came out and was just like, "Hey man, can you help me? My family's down on the side of the highway, and my little daughter's bleeding out of her, for thing, and our car crashed." And I'm like, that's a lot, man. And I have to go. Like I not only can I not help you,
I just can't be here. I just
can't, because now it's gonna take a whole. I have plans that day. And if I were to that's just part of me just like not wanting to deal with that. I might be a shitty person for that, but it's just like that was just a lot in like 10 seconds. I'm like, dude, I can't. And I looked to the people behind them, and I was just like, because there's people walking in and out. I'm like, there's definitely people in there that can definitely help you out. If you go in there, they can call your people or whatever. And he's like,
I feel like that's the best way to just handle that situation.
Yeah, and I was just like, there's other people that can help you out. I really can't. I'm sorry. And he's just like, all right. And then he asked the other people, was just the same thing. "Hey man, my daughter, she's bleeding, and my car crashed, and we need to go to the hospital." With the same amount of energy, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad I just left.
Absolutely.
So going back to this homeless guy in BK, I had my headphones in because I don't want to talk to anybody, and I knew he was coming around to talk to me, so I just had my headphones in, and I'm just waiting in line, and I finally order my food, and he's trying to get my attention, throws an apple at me. He's just like, "Hey man, do you like, can I get some money from you?" So he throws an apple just like so I can catch it, and I kind of catch it like out of my peripheral. Like, what the fuck? Like, he's trying to exchange food or like an apple for money. And I'm like, that's kind of counterintuitive, whatever. So I order my food and I wait in line, and now he gets in line, right? And then, did I tell you the story?
I don't remember this.
I told somebody. I think I told Gilbert. But anyway, the homeless guy in line orders a French fry and some McNuggets. Less than $3, right? So he pulls out a bucket of change and he puts it on the counter and he starts doing his thing, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 100. That's 100 pennies. I had cash that I used, and I broke a 20 to order me and my dad's food that I was waiting for. So I had change. I had $1 or something left over. So I'm like, that's a lot, dude. You are aggressively chewing on this employee's time while it's, you know, lunch rush. Jesus, man. And for me, it just got into my head, like, why did you have to do this? This is the part that's gonna probably piss everyone off or just whatever. So I give him $1 to complete his order, to complete his how much money he needed. I had thought that's all, that the ticket was done. Like, I just gave him money and then boom, you got your nuggets and your French fries and you're good, right? And then he's like, can I add a Whopper? A meal? Can I get a Coke with that too? And I need a junior Whopper as well. Just a burger. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then he pulls out a wad of fucking cash. As big as my hand. Like this big.
What the fuck?
And he pulls out a 20 and he gives it to her.
After counting money?
Yeah.
So he was trying to like play a guilt trip kind of thing?
Yes.
For the first half, nobody played into it.
Yep.
And then he was like, all right.
Homeless people, by the way, make more money than the average restaurant worker. Homeless people make about, I could be wrong completely about this, but from what I know of my cousin that used to work at a bank, there was this homeless guy just coming in, opening up bank accounts, putting in $3,000 to $10,000 in a bank. They make more money than restaurant workers. How fucked up is that?
That's pretty messed up.
Yeah. So think about this, right? So now I'm like I'm like again, I'm just like, I'm done. Like, he comes over to me, he's like, hey man, thank you for your money. And this dude looks like a really like 100-year-old Charles Manson looking motherfucker. Super old. So he's like, hey, do you, and obviously my clothes are like filled with paint. I'm working right now, and he's like, hey, do you paint? Do you work in construction? And I'm like, yeah, man, I do. And he's like, hey, do you want to work with me? I have a landscaping crew with a bunch of like 10 other dudes, and we make like $200 an hour. And I'm like, that's great, man, but I really don't care. And he's like, well, if you really want to, here's my business card. Then he pulls out a little fucking business card. And I remembered that for the moment, I looked like, what's his name? The guy from American Psycho, Bateman, or whatever, looking at the card and just thinking, I'm going to murder this dude right fucking now. Not only do I have my own business, and he just insults me with offering me a job to work for him. I have my own business. I make my own money. I would never want to work for anyone ever again in my life. That's the whole point of it. And for the fact that he gave me that, I wanted to tear his head off. Luckily, the girl was just like, number 97. I'm like, all right, food, I'm out of here. I just leave.
Nice.
I understand your frustration. And I just, everywhere I go, though, people will just talk to me. And I would go to a Target one time, and someone would just be like, hey, do you know what time it is? And it's like, what, because I have a watch? Do you not have a phone? Why do you need to talk to me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just here to get my shit and get out. Like, maybe because I'm old and I'm just an old man that's just like, you know, I'm at the point where like I just don't need certain things in my life, and I'm not a nice person to people anymore, because I'm only nice to the people that are in my life, but everyone else I couldn't give a shit because I'm just a broken person. But I don't know, man.
I feel so blessed to, with my time, feeling more busy every fucking like week or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm really blessed. Like, for the moments like that, I need to tame myself and just be okay with it, because for the most part, I am able to surround myself with really good people that I find I have quality time with. And so to shake it up with events like the homeless people, it really does help me find my own perspective in
well, I think it solidifies everything that who your person is, because when someone that you don't know comes into your life, you reassure yourself that, do I want to talk to you? Do I not want to talk to you? And then you mentally or subconsciously are like, oh, this is who I am, or it's just like, I don't want to deal with this or whatever. It's just like this subconscious thing that we do.
Another like reaffirmation of who you are as a person.
Exactly. So, man, we haven't gone through the. I did talk about the Smash tournament. There's some other heavy stuff that happened this week, but for now, let's take a little.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and let's watch this little clip.
Oh, I love this guy.
Yes, I have. Okay, food, man. I haven't been home in the last couple days, so I haven't been able to cook anything. So if you look in my fridge, I have tilapia in my freezer.
Nice.
With 2 cordon bleus. By the way, do you know what cordon bleus are?
I'm not familiar.
Think about a chicken nugget that's filled in the inside with cream sauce and bacon or whatever the fuck. It's a meal saver. It's amazing. I'm addicted to cordon bleus. It's a full meal and like a breast of a nugget. It's amazing.
I think I know what I believe I know what you're talking about now. It just took me a minute to process that. Yeah.
Good shit, man. Really good shit. So in my fridge, that's all I have is in my freezer. I have tilapia. I have cordon bleus, and I literally went grocery shopping last week Sunday, but I haven't really been home, and I've got a new carton of eggs. And that's it.
Nice. But you're stocked up now.
Well, I need to go back to actually get cereal. I haven't done cereal in a long time. But in any case, the things that I was cooking, and I filmed it. That's what I was going to tell you. I filmed this a little cooking segment of me cooking I don't know what you'd call it. It's like an Egg McMuffin, but with like bread toast instead of like buns or whatever.
Okay.
And I did a little image of that, but that has been my breakfast for the last week because I don't have cereal.
Gotcha.
So Hardy Man's greasy toast with eggs.
Did you butter it at all?
Yeah, I put butter on both sides, and then I'm gonna have a heart attack very early on.
How much garlic do you toss on your egg sandwiches?
I actually just got some garlic that I haven't tried out yet, so yeah, need to do that.
Solid.
Yeah, so I'll probably go grocery shopping. I like to go grocery shopping every Sunday just so I can restock for the week.
Yeah.
But did you film anything? Because I know we were talking about you were gonna film some
last week. I think I'd filmed a short cooking vlog that's probably gonna be like a minute and a half total.
You showed me but a little bit of it.
I haven't edited it any further than that.
No worries.
Since I haven't been home in I haven't been home in like a couple days, it feels like.
Yeah. We've both been very busy.
So hopefully later, maybe tomorrow. No, I should be able to tomorrow after I go to Menards again.
Save big money.
Yeah, actually that's what I was on Thursday.
Yeah.
While you were at, I think, Kevin's things.
Yeah.
I was, the manager asked me to come in and play at Menards like 5 to 8. So
how was that?
It was all right.
Nice.
It was okay.
3 hours, that's not bad.
No, it was a decent amount of time, but I haven't worked on new songs in like a week and a half.
Right.
So the past like 2 to 3 times I've been there have been the same songs and then me improvising for like 2 hours.
Well,
so you get that's how it's been.
You get the bangers out first, and then you
and then I'll repeat some stuff right at the end as I'm closing, just to finish strong.
That's hilarious, man. Well, like you did a little thing here, and I really liked what you played on my piano. I have a 4,000 just grand Kawai piano, digital, and here in my apartment.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I love this.
The low end is wow.
Yeah, wild. So and the reason I paid so much money for this piano is because it's hard to find a piano that has great response for your fingers. And
for digital, this is like they've started amping up their quality over the past few years.
Yeah. Of
digital stuff.
And for me, I'm a person that likes to get immersed in what they're doing and everything. Obviously, like I got more. Like if you look at my studio, it's immense. I have to do a studio now that I have my monitor, my 22-inch monitor, drawing tablet. I can finally do a studio review of my whole setup here to kind of, now that everything's kind of where it's at, and kind of show you guys. But the main thing is I like to get immersed in what I'm doing, whether it's music. I want to be in the mix, or just whatever. I feel like it's you have to be in the experience,
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, I invest big into my things, and this is going to carry me on for the next 1,000 years, hopefully. Yeah, as long as no one breaks it. So you went to Menards on Thursday, so that actually worked out pretty good too then, when you were doing that. That Smash Bros tournament was really fun, dude. I was going to stay there till 11, and by the time I knew it, it was already 11, and I was like, dude, I still need to go to work. So I was working 12-hour days. On Monday, I worked, we got this house 2 weeks ago on Thursday, and, I wasn't able to work until Friday and all this stuff, and just working 12-hour days to get this turnaround, because apparently that house wasn't coordinated to us very well, so I have to work around carpenters that are there, and stepping over them, and
I understand your pain.
It took a day, and it just emotionally got me and my dad very, not heated, but more of a little stressed. But that it was Tuesday actually. I'm not sure if it was a healthy thing that we did, but I had a little breakdown with my father, and I haven't told you about this yet. I haven't told anyone about this. But so me and my dad have this polar opposite thing, right? So he is a survivalist. He is a person that needs to work to provide. He will work on the days that he has off, because the days off do not matter. You have evenings off, if that makes sense, to do things after. He has always been that way, and that's how he's always going to be. You can't change people. For me, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Painting and turning houses and doing construction work, that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I know what I'm meant to do in this world. A lot of people don't know what they're meant to do in this world until way later on. I found out a couple years ago what I was meant to do, and I'm working my entire life to do that purpose, right? So my dad gets me jobs so that I can pay my rent, which I'm grateful for, and he shows me his love and appreciation to me in other ways that I've learned through therapy, of how people show you how they love you in different ways, right? So whether you have a parent that just is not around, because that's what my dad is. He's never around. He's never around. He's never going to be around. If I want him to come to my soccer games, he's never going to do that. If I want him to come to an art show or a music thing that I'm playing, he's never going to be there. Things are not... He never has time for... He'll never be there as a parent, but he'll always be there... Oh, sorry. He'll never be there as a father, but he'll try to be there as a parent, if that makes sense. Well, he'll do other things to show you that he is your father, and he, or whatever, and he does care about you, but he'll show it in a different way. That's how my dad is. And which is I don't know, it's tough because everyone has it differently, right? So I broke down, and I there's some things that my dad does while we're working that just makes it feel like he just does not give a shit about my well-being, because I got a virus that day. I was sick. I was dying. I felt like it. And I'm still recovering, if you can hear from my throat. I caught a virus that just made me just runny nose, congestion. I was just I couldn't focus on work. And we had all this stuff that just was piling on, right? So he said some things that made me feel like, dude, I think he said, I need you to be here at 6. He told me I need you to be here at 6 so that we could start early in the morning. But he's like, but you can't be here because you don't sleep. You can't sleep, and you have trouble sleeping. And I'm like, Dad, it's not that I have trouble sleeping; it's that I have problems that I'm working towards, right? So, not to get too heavy, but the main thing was that he didn't. It made it feel like I told him hey, if you actually knew about my problems, maybe we can work about these things, And then it was just not for me. It was wrong. I was wrong to call him on while we were working, because we're working. It's not time to talk about feelings or anything like that. But I took it very personal that he's always done it like this, where if we never have time to talk about things outside of work, then when can we talk about these things?
Right.
So when he insults me and so said, because I know I can show up there to the next day at 6 and get an early day's work, but just the way he says it makes me feel like, Well, no, it's not that I can't be here. It's just that you you don't understand that I have problems sleeping and I have all these things. And he's like, I don't want to hear about you drugging yourself. And it's like, that's not about that. Like, just got to know about me, right? So later that night, I talked to him like, hey, I took a little bit of offense to this, and I try to, we're finally done working. I finally like tell him, as I always do, like, this is what bothered me. Can you? There's a point where I've learned to forgive people, and I know what forgiveness is, and with my dad, it's hard to forgive someone who's always going to do those same things over and over again, right? Who's always going to disrespect you, or just like always going to do these things at work. And for me, I think one of the biggest mistakes is getting us working in this business together as father and son. And for me, what made me go crazy is that, like, well, he doesn't talk to anybody else like that except for me. And I might be projecting here or whatever, but he doesn't smirk, or he doesn't, like, what's it called, do like these little things that like he wouldn't do to anybody else. But I'm like, with me, it's like, I'm your son, you should be treating me at least a little differently,
Yeah.
So it just messes with my head that, like, as a young kid, my uncle, who taught me how to paint, was a monster. He traumatized me as a kid, and these are the things I'm learning to grow self-respect for myself, learning how to be more confident in myself, because if I wasn't able to cut right or paint correctly, he would just take my things out of my hand without question and just, like, boom, things I was working on.
I can definitely see I can't remember the exact experiences like that, but I've had those moments, and it sucks.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I've grown so much as a person that I feel like I'm more mature and just a better person than all of my parents combined, because I know I would never treat people like that.
But to have experienced that, I feel
like it's needed.
For those people who haven't had that, it comes out in unwanting or like unexpected. I guess I can't think of the word, but you allow yourself to do what you wouldn't really want, but you haven't had those bad experiences, so they just come out like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it harms people in the worst way possible.
Exactly. And my dad, and I told him, like, that night, like, hey, I know you didn't mean this, because I know this isn't, you do this all the time, but I know that you do it when we're working, and I know you don't mean it like that. Like, and he's like, he told me I would never disrespect you. I don't try to disrespect you.
This could just be my very shallow perspective, but like, unless he's just doing it in a playful manner. But there's some people that I've met that are completely, they're joking, but their attitude and the way they voice everything is serious.
Yeah, yeah.
Is he?
No,
he's not like that.
When he's serious, he's serious. You can definitely tell. My dad's pretty, like, straightforward.
Gotcha.
But he told me, like, I didn't mean to disrespect you. Like, we're just working, and then I have so many things in my head, and I tried working with my dad a while ago of, like, how we can balance personal with work life, and I told him this is what needed to happen. But he's no matter how much I want him, even if I have all the answers in my head and I tell him what we need to work on, he's not going to work on them. So I gave up on that. So I learned to forgive, and I learned to give trust where trust needed to be, whether working together of, like, hey, I need $200 for paying for materials, and I know I can count on him on certain things and what I can't count on him. And for me, that's my biggest growth, is I've learned who he is as a father to me, who he is as a partner, and who he is as his overall person. So I've learned all these things. But what I was working in therapy of, like, learning to accept people, learning what it means for me to actually forgive people. How do you forgive someone who's an important figure in your life, and he's constantly going to do the same thing? My whole life's work right now is to get me out of that job, so I can have my father again, so I can see him again. Because there was a couple things that happened last month or a couple months ago where we did a work and a job cleaning out an apartment, and he did and said some terrible things again. And from that day forward, I didn't see him as my father and I wanted to cause him harm. And I told him that. And from there, dude, I cried like a fucking baby. And he's never seen me cry. And I don't cry at all. But it felt like it's something that needed to happen. You know what I mean? So I told him, I looked at him like, I haven't seen you as my dad for a long time. And I've wanted to hurt you. And I'm not a bad person. Because you've made me a calloused, someone without a heart. And because you're a survivalist mindset. And my uncle, Jamie, who's a psychologist, professor or whatever, teacher, he's talked to me a little bit about who my dad is and what his mentality is to make him not seem so personal, but it's this balance, this fine line that we have to walk. And after that day, that I told him I don't want to hurt you, but you don't understand what you do, and what I want to do is get as far away from this as possible, so that I can start living my dream and my purpose, and we can go back to being father and son. And that, from that day forward, that's the reason why I'm working 12-hour days, so I can get that shit out of the way. I can make my month's rent and then take half of the month off to focus on what I can, and as little time as possible.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so happy that I have today to do this, man. This to me is my greatest what's it called? My biggest break. Coming here and talking to you about feelings.
The best thing to look forward to.
Yeah, and to recap the week. This is basically
what I feel like we really just connected there. I love that story. I mean, I feel sorry that you had to go through that, but I also had a similar. I don't want to compare myself to personal situations.
No, everyone has their own thing.
I feel I'm contradicting myself.
No, go for it.
But I had a similar experience where I broke down back in January. I was on a bunch of drugs because of so the surgeries. They had to have my stuff art controls. Yeah, they all my hormones were just getting messed with.
Yeah.
And I was just playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I guess I wasn't really feeling it. My dad was making some commentary, and whatever it was, I just wasn't responding, or I was just zoning into the game.
Yeah.
As I do. I actually prefer playing video games by myself, but for some reason when we podcast, it's a different vibe. We have more of a connection playing video games than I have with anybody else doing video games.
And that's intentional. I've seen what works, how two people engage, so I try to bring that. And dude, I consider you one of my closest friends of all time, so it just felt natural.
And that's the best part about it. But he was picking up something, or didn't see that I was responding well to it, so he just kind of left or just went to go watch something. And then for some reason right there, I just I broke down. I was what the fuck?
I think it's
what am I doing? I couldn't be aware enough to be able to handle a conversation or just interact. They're my parents.
You tell them?
We talked about it a bit. He just went downstairs, but then I think he came up for iced tea or something.
Yeah.
And then somehow as he was going down the stairs, I said hey, whatever. Somehow got his attention, and we started talking. After the first couple words, I started choking on my words.
Yeah.
I hated that feeling, because I'd always get that whenever I would do something terrible, or I don't know, I would screw up, and then I would get yelled at. And that would be the moment I would try to confess or explain my side of the story.
Right.
It felt like one of those moments, and I was choking on my words, but I plowed through it and said what I needed to say. Hey, I didn't really mean to ignore you like that, or whatever. I can't remember what all happened, but just elaborating how we both were feeling.
Yeah.
And connected beyond that. But
and here's the thing, and there's a part where we take responsibility for our actions, right? Where we acknowledge if what we did right and what we did wrong, right? In that case, you didn't do anything wrong. Your hormones were out of whack, dude. That's a normal thing, and that's what it's supposed to happen during that time. So it's not that. I think for we regress I think I don't know if it's regress or repose memories from old trauma or whatever, from old things that hurt us or whatever. So there's some times that in our most vulnerable state, when we're not even conscious of it, where a scenario starts to play similar to what it was that caused that hurt, that we forgot about, that we regressed, that we put it away or whatever. And then there's the scenario that happens, and it's live in the moment. Exactly, and then it comes back up, and then that's where like you're in the game, but then at the same time you have your emotions are out of whack. Your dad is doing similar actions to what he used to do, and you are trying to put two and two together, and your mind is like not even there anymore. It's not even focused on the game.
It's starting to spiral out of like
exactly.
Whoa.
So when you actually felt that moment, that's when how do you say it? Your soul connects with your heart again, and then that's where it's like, oh damn,
just fucking dumped full of like more hormones rushing through my body. But I think the best growth out of that was that moment, as well as like whenever it might have been a few weeks later, possibly my hormones still out of check or whatever, but I snapped at my sister one night. It was actually during another rioting lockdown thing or something. They were like, hey, we're having a curfew at like 7 p.m. or something.
Yeah, something super
it was retarded. We were having rehearsal, and I was like, okay, we'll wrap it up at like 6:30 and I'll leave, get home. We go a few minutes later, my sister calls me and it's like, hey, I just want to make sure like you're either staying there or, you know, like coming back,
right,
or just, you know, stay there,
right.
And it was like 7:00 on the dot or something, and I was like, yeah, I'm headed out right now, I'm on the road. And she's like, okay, and I say the stupidest thing, and I said, is this fine? Is that fine?
Yeah.
With a little bit of attitude, too much actually.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of silence, and I can't remember what happened. She said like, okay, whatever, you know, just like see when you get home.
Yeah.
And it was that moment I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I let my tongue slip again.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, for me, I always...
Because I feel very independent, you know? Like, I don't want somebody... I do and don't need anybody to care for me, but what were you... I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that was it. That's what I was going to say, is just that, like, we are independent creatures, monsters or whatever. My sister was on another level when the pandemic happened. I was living in the apartment, and she was like... I was leaving to the casino when the outbreak happened. And she's like, hey, you probably shouldn't go. And I'm like, I was already out. And like, I'm leaving. I don't care about this stuff. Later that I found out like what was actually happening, and then things got brought up to the forelight. I'm like, oh, damn, this is real. This is something like, until like, you know, you got to see it actually. I wasn't paying attention to any of that stuff. I was walking out the door. And then when I got back, they're both hysterical and are just kind of starting to set these rules of like, when you come home, wear a mask and go to the bathroom, take a shower. They put all of these restrictions and rules on me for their own sake. And I try to respect it as much as possible. The problem is, though, when you try to... when there's all these rules... I'm an idiot, by the way. I'm like the biggest idiot. I'm going to forget. You know? And... but when I'm outside, I'm pretty conscious of everything. You know what I mean? So, like, I try not to let people kiss me.
Your awareness is there, but sometimes just, like, cognitive... logic just misses us. Because
I go to Home Depot, I usually make out with like two people like right away, and I try not to do that anymore in the pandemic, you know.
But
like that.
That's understandable. Sometimes there's like a nice MILF there, you know.
You know what I'm saying? Like I try not to I try to keep my clothes on half the time. It's like
half the time, but like you meant. I think you hit the nail on the head there earlier when you started. We don't wear our pants.
Yeah, we really don't.
Yeah, that's pretty.
We're not wearing pants right now. So things like that, like, okay, I'm a pretty dum-dum when it comes to like all of these rules and all that stuff, but I'm very socially out there when I go out in public. I'm gonna wear a mask, I'm gonna wear my clothes, I'm gonna, you know, I don't talk to anybody anyway. I try not to, but things just kind of end up happening or whatever. So it's like, no matter all of these rules that happen, which is, I try to respect them as much as possible because my sister was pregnant and all that stuff, and they're both, my sister and her husband are just like trying to do their best to keep themselves healthy, and me being the the variant, as it were, someone that needs to go out, but I see everything that's going on outside, and it's more horrific than anything you could see in the news, to be honest. I actually know what's happening, so I can adapt a lot quicker. The main thing is that I understand when all these rules are being put on you, and it's not you get a little frustrated that like we're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
everything's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? So I totally get that. Our timer did go off, but let's just wrap up real quick, man. This has been a very insightful podcast for the both of us.
Absolutely.
We haven't caught up in a week, man, but a lot of things has happened this week. I got to know more people. I got to know that there's another world out there with Smash Bros that Kevin runs, that I want to get Kevin on this podcast so that this dude just will not give me a straight answer of what he does, and we've never talked. Like even that night at Smash Bros, he was playing with another person, and I was like, man, we never have an opportunity to just chat, which is weird.
We'll get him on the podcast, and it'll be very insightful, I feel.
Yes, so we're gonna do that, and so like I said before, guys, I have we have our Gmail account. We have if you want to send us questions.
Otherwise, also find us on Instagram. We'll at Twin Chickens Podcast or Twin Chickens, and just DM us if that's easier for you. Don't have to worry about an email. Just find us on a social media. And send us a message.
Yep, and also if you want the tip link, like I said, that's the way that you guys can support the show. Anything helps, honestly, and just you guys watching is amazing. But if you guys want to send us questions using our tip link, we can read them here live on the show and just have a really good time. It's just an easier way for us to track everything. We're gonna put all of our tags and everything in the description of this video, and let's just take it out, man. Let's just watch one last one, and then we'll cut it out. Thank you for coming, and this was a good time.
Absolutely, this was a great session. I'm glad we were able to have the time to be able to podcast this week.
Yeah, man, this has been insightful. I wish we could go on, but let's just watch this last one. Let's get out of here. Cool. All right. Bye.